Driven solutions can strengthen Botswana's disaster preparedness. Good afternoon, and thank you so much for joining us on Botswana Television.
Good afternoon. Thank you so much for having me.
All right, now let's start our conversation by understanding what exactly is this initiative.
All right, so this initiative was something that was done by a colleague and I, Dumelo Marumo, on Wednesday night, and it's called the Botswana Floods 2025 Consolidated Resource Database. And we put it together as the response to a need. If we all remember, Wednesday night, it was flooding. We didn't know which roads were open. We didn't know where information was. And even the information that was there, we didn't know where to find it. And that is why we then put together this consolidated resource where we took all the information that was available that people needed in order to respond to the floods, protect themselves, protect their loved ones, and put it in one place. So if you look at the database, we looked at the most important information and made sure that it's in one place for people to find during a very tumultuous time where people are quite busy and running around and quite stressed.
We are talking about this database that I'm not aware of right now, but I think,
yes,
as you've already mentioned, is a new phenomenon that you have just developed last week. What is it? Is it an application? Where can I find this?
All right. So this is a very low-tech platform. We've put it on Google Sheets. And if you go to bit.ly, so bit.ly/BWFloods 2025, you'll be able to see it. We put together a Google Sheet, and then on it, we've got different pages. So we've got emergency service information, and in there we've got the emergency information of most districts around the country, the people that you'd need to call to try and get help. We've got evacuation centers and services on there across different districts. So it's not just Gaborone. Libotonota are in there, Khansi is also in there. And then we have government updates, because we know that's where you got a lot of the most important information. But some of them were about 20-minute long interviews, so would summarize that to the key points and have them on there. Open roads and open borders, and would keep changing the statuses of those, of which roads are open, which roads are closed, and the like. We've got taking action as well. So we opened up a page on there where people can donate as credible sources became available. We've also got media updates, because as we know, that's where we get a lot of our information. And then we've now recently launched a page on government, private sector, and CSO responses, looking to encourage other people to take action.
That's very profound. I'm listening to you right now, and I believe it is something that really needed to be provided to the public, especially that at the end of the day we lacked a lot of information, especially during that disaster time last week. How has the database been received by the public and aid organizations so far?
Okay, so I think the reception has been quite good. Unfortunately, because it's so low tech and was so quickly set up, we didn't put in some of the mechanisms that would help us to check the direct link. We can only check how many people use the bit.ly link, but the responses have been great. Some of the international, some of the embassies have reached out to us to say, thank you for this database, it's really helpful. We've had some people who work in tech who've reached out to say, is there a way we can partner to make it an even better product? David Lesole, who's a leading climatologist in Botswana, also reached out to say, thank you for this platform. It really works. We've shared it with other organizations, individuals as well. My friend's mom forwarded it to me from her church group. So it did get around. People did find it useful. We had people commenting on our Facebook as well to say, hi, we're looking for information for this district. We're looking for information for XYZ. So I think people were using it. People did find it useful. And none of the information was from us. It was just consolidating already available information.
Right, that's incredible. Now, I'm also wondering, how does it get out to the public? How do I get to see or to know where I can get this platform, where all the consolidated information is at? Because it's a new thing. Are you on Facebook? Where do I get all the information?
All right. So we are on all social media. So that's at Sustain267 on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, all your social media. And we did this in partnership with our colleagues at Bokamoso Resilience Initiative. They don't have their social media up yet, but if you go to at Sustain267 on any social media, you'll find all the links in there. And then we also do highlights of certain information that we think is particularly important. So at Sustain 267, and then if you happen to get the text that we were forwarding, please do continue to forward it as well. That's
incredible. Now, you're calling on volunteers to contribute updates. What kind of information are you looking for, and how can people participate?
All right. So this database, like I said, it was started Wednesday around I think Dumelo called me at 2:45 midnight, and we worked on it until about 3:30. It was live. What we need now is individuals who can help us as we find information, update it onto the database. It is very manual right now. We've got a team of 5, so me, Dumelo, Tandile Diza, who does our social media, from Bailey Social, Zola Sibanda, who's a data scientist, and Tinaye Mabara, also known as EcoGirl. So there's the 5 of us, both finding the information and updating the database. And if we can have more volunteers who have experience with Google Sheets, then we can even put more information, and it can be more up to date.
Right now, how can communities ensure that the database remains accurate and up to date? Because we have seen, some of the pictures, some of the videos that were shared on social media, on different platforms, that, communities will say, these were videos that were, from far back years. Yeah. So how do we ensure that the information within this platform is accurate?
So what we've done for accuracy, we've made sure that none of this information is from us. So we are literally taking information that's already available and just putting it in the same place. Our main source of information is government entities. So government, BTV, thank you so much, BTV, daily news, different district councils as well around the country. At first, we had a citizen update page as well, which we since collapsed because there was no way of verifying it. So all the information that is here, it is from verifiable sources. Even the donations that we look at, that we've put on the donations page, there's some that we couldn't put on because we couldn't verify where they are from. So, and then in terms of timely, if you look at the database, the Botswana Floods 2025 Consolidated Resource Database, you'll see that we've got dates and timestamps, and then every single piece of information there is hyperlinked to the source. So for roads, for example, if it was closed at some point, you'll have the date and timestamp. If we change it to open, we change the date and timestamp and the source. So everything is sourced, everything has a timestamp, which we make sure that is the best quality of information that is on there.
That's incredible. Now, you're also talking about the donations that you're also asking for from different organizations and different stakeholders to be part of this initiative. Yeah. How do you get these donations, and how do you give it to those who are in need of them?
All right. So we are not taking any donations. Sustain 267 and Bokamoso is not taking any donations at all. We do not need them. There are people who need them more than us. On the database, we've got a page that's dedicated to donations and donations and where volunteers are needed. And that's where we've got the initiative by Business Botswana. We've got Botswana Red Cross Society on there, some of the district councils, and the Gaborone West Adventist Church. These are people who receive donations. We do not receive any. It will help you know where to donate if you would like to donate, or if you'd like to volunteer. Botswana Red Cross Society, we know they've been doing incredible work directly with people who've been displaced and had to evacuate. Please donate to them. Business Botswana as well, we've seen private sector stepping up. Please donate to them. The district councils are the ones who are the frontline community and closest to people. Please make sure you also donate to them. They are verifiable, and yeah, they're verifiable, and we trust them as our government. And yeah, I think that's as much as I can say about that. But we are not accepting donations, and please also be careful when donating. That you donate to people who are verifiable. Unfortunately, at times like this, there are people who will try to run a quick one.
Most of them.
But yeah.
All right. Now, what challenges have you faced in maintaining and updating the database in real time? I believe this is a new thing, and it always have to go through hurdles.
Yes. The challenge that we've mostly faced was manpower. So at first there was only 2 of us, then there were 4, then there were 5. But we need manpower to help us keeping it up to date. And also, it's rather low tech. So even with tracking it, that's something that we'll work on For should there be an improved version, we will work on tracking to make sure that we've got the numbers of who has opened it on this link directly or otherwise. So I think those would be the main challenges that we faced. But in terms of it being shared, we had very few expectations for it. The only thing was Arituseng Botswana, and we've managed to help some Botswana, and that for us is a win.
All right. Now, are there any plans to improve or expand this, expand this platform beyond just, flood response? Because I believe we are not only going to face this, disaster only. We are going to face a lot more that is coming. Right now, we're inspired by what has transpired. But are you having any plans to make sure that you bring the experts, to grow this platform?
So right now, when we started it, like I said, we didn't have such long-term plans, but looking at how necessary it is, we had some of our colleagues at Botswana Society for Human Development who do a lot of work around loss and damage as well, reach out to say, hi, can you please categorize this information according to what kind of impact it is, which then is useful to researchers or people responding to this. So we are looking to improve it, even with the data we already have, looking at how do we package it better. And then if anyone is interested in collaborating to see how we can improve this to be even more useful, definitely open to that. At Sustain 267, most of the work that we do is around translating environmental climate change information to information that people can use. So the information from meteorological services, when they say it's going to flood, we then synthesize it to say, when they say that, this is what it means for you, Olekolapeng. So we do a lot of that type of work. If anyone is interested in helping us grow this beyond what it is now, because we know, we could call this a prototype. We know it works, it has helped people. And we are ambitious to try and grow it and make it more useful to Botswana.
That's good. Now, how can technology and community-driven initiatives like this improve Botswana's overall disaster preparedness? Because it's like we're caught off guard. Especially, I was talking to one of the visitors here yesterday. We were talking about that Botswana is not prepared. Maybe it's because of lack of information that we don't know what is going to happen in the future, or it is the dispersion of information to those who are in need of it.
All right. So I think with Botswana, we definitely need to, even in our strategy, we need to start talking about climate change more, but not just talking about it, but bringing it into our plans. If we look at our national budget that was read by the Vice President 2 weeks ago, there was very little about climate change in there. So we need to see that it is already impacting us. We are beyond, is climate change real or not? We are seeing the impacts of it. How do we move forward? And then having a plan in place. We've got a policy currently. We need to revise it to make sure that it's up to date to respond to situations like we saw last week, Wednesday. Additionally, in terms of what needs to be done, we need to decentralize climate response from just government. There's civil society. You've got organizations like Botswana Society for Human Development. You've got Sustain 267. You've got Botswana Climate Change Network. There's a number of civil society organizations that this is their direct work that they work on daily, allowing them to help use that capacity to help strengthen some of the responses by government. So definitely decentralizing in a way that allows civil society that's acting in the best interest of Botswana and Botswana, when we talk anything climate, are able to work, are able to channel resources. And then in tech as well, making sure that we are encouraging the kind of technology that we need, not just the kind of technology that would excite people in Silicon Valley. This, to a tech person, but to someone else, it's the information that they needed when their house was flooding. Where do they take their family? So opening our minds up to what do we mean by technology? Opening our minds up to what do we mean by innovation. The innovation here wasn't the Google Sheets. The innovation was how do we put this information together for Botswana, for it to be useful. So I think at government level, it would be trusting civil society and private sector and other actors to act for, to help them reach some of our climate goals, to help them reach some of our NDCs, to help within addressing climate change. Also tech as well, opening it up. Tech is not just an app. It's not just, tech is so wide, especially in Botswana where we are slow to adopt. And then to individuals, making sure that when this information is available, we use it. And even if you don't need to use it, you share it. the impact of that makes you someone who's acting on climate change. It makes us people who are climate change responsive. And when we have these conversations at spaces like COP, which happens at the end of the year, when we have these conversations in multilateral spaces, the government can also say, Botswana are already doing this. Botswana have evidence of being interested in climate change, responding to climate change, and that helps us mobilize resources towards making sure that we're ready for climate change.
Most definitely. Now, we are running out of time. Just a minute to wrap up this conversation. What support would you need from, maybe the government and maybe private sector? Already mentioned that we shouldn't leave this to only government. Everyone have to come on board. What is it that help or support that you need from everyone to sustain this in just a minute?
All right. So from government, what we would need is an endorsement of our platform. If you look at all the links on there, they are credible. Most of them are from government. So even just a permission to use a logo that says this is endorsed by government, because they know it's credible. So we can speak to the task teams should they be available. To the private sector, it's not just about this incident. It's a climate crisis. We will see more of these, them putting more resources towards supporting climate change initiatives by NGOs, making sure that we've got the right number of people representing us at gatherings like the Conference of Parties on Climate Change, and to individuals speaking about climate change. Recording the individual actions, recording what you see in front of you when there are floods, putting accurate data online. And if you come across misinformation or disinformation, please don't share it. Please do not share it. You're doing more harm than good, no matter how interesting it may seem and like it'll bring people in. And with that, we trust that if everyone does their piece, from policy level to individual level, the climate crisis, it will happen, but it can also present new opportunities for Botswana.
Right. Unfortunately, we have run clean out of time, but I think we have discussed most of the important things that Botswana needs to know. From here, I'm just going to get online and get to see what that platform is all about. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much for having us.
All right, and that is how we come to the end of this conversation. I had in studio with me Pato, Kelesitse, the founder of Sustain 267, to discuss the impact of their platform, this initiative on how technology-driven solutions can strengthen Botswana's disaster preparedness. And that is how we come to the end of this conversation. I'm coming back with the 5 o'clock news. Stay with us.
Video e security mo social media. Isupa ile gore Botswana ke mala